Okay, welcome everyone. Going to this the big screen. All right. Thank you all so much for coming. This is the Embracing Our Shadows shadow work introduction event. And it is a deep honor for everyone here to be joining me today. This is the culmination of about 6.5 months of work and learning and effort put in to make something that I really hope is going to help everyone here, everyone who joins our community. So I would like to begin sharing a deep breath with everyone. And so if everyone would like to close their eyes. And let yourself drop into a sacred headspace. Shadow work most often deals with the heart chakra, because this is all about emotion and intention. And it can be a painful experience. When you come out the other side, and you've let yourself heal that pain, we can all stand a little bit taller. When we open up and attune with the heart chakra, we attune with compassion, and we attune with empathy. And compassion and empathy are things that we can all always use a little bit more of. Thank you. It is always lovely to share a breath. I am going to open this with an anointment of rose oil. And through social distancing, anoint all of you with the energies of the rose. Roses of all shapes and sizes and breeds and colors touch on the emotions in our bodies, in our minds, in our hearts. And as you allow yourself to open up, just imagine yourself like the bud of a rose, slowly opening to feel the sunlight. So, in this space, I'm opening a window to your shadow self. The intention behind this event, this offering, and everything afterwards is to open you to the idea that your shadow self is not your enemy. In this space, we are going to confront the deep wounds that we are wanting to heal, not by lashing out at these wounds or at ourselves in anger, but by coming at them with compassion. compassion like faith, in that usually compassion comes from understanding. Right now, we don't yet have that understanding, but we do have a choice. We can choose to practice compassion for something we don't yet understand, with the hope that as we work with them and the understanding comes. Faith does not come from certainty. Faith comes from choosing to believe despite the uncertainty. And it doesn't matter if this faith is in some higher power, in the universe, or in yourself. Despite any uncertainties you have of where you are going or where you come from or where you need to be, you deserve to have that faith in yourself. You deserve to choose to believe despite the uncertainty. This is the space where you and I will confront this wound together. Just as no battle need be fought alone, love is also not a solo act. Sometimes it takes help from the outside to see what is worthy of our love. And while you're under no obligation to disclose to me or to the group the nature of your wound, you must be willing to disclose to yourself, honestly, what the nature of your wound is. And I understand that this can be a very difficult thing, especially if you've been hiding from the truth yourself. But I want you to understand that there is a huge difference between honesty and brutal honesty. Do not, at any point, feel the need to be brutally honest. Just wholly honest. If you cannot be honest with yourself, well, who can you be honest with? Shadow work is the healing of the wounds that you carry. So if you've ever gone to a therapist or a counselor to get help from the struggles that you have in life, you've done some shadow work. If you've ever put a concentrated effort into changing your perceptions of yourself and the world around you, you've engaged in shadow work. If anybody has any kind of questions about shadow work, please drop them in the comments box and I will read them out and answer them as best I can, of course, because the question you have is probably on someone else's mind. They might be too afraid to ask. For this event, I was using the Oracle card deck, Healing with the Fairies by Doreen Virtue. There we go. And I drew the Peace of Mind card. And the Peace of Mind Oracle card is here to tell us that I read this right before starting. Peace of mind is not something that you have to earn or acquire, since your true self is already peaceful. Instead, it requires being like a sculptor with a block of marble, who works with this material until the inner masterpiece is revealed. If you make peace of mind your main focus, you'll inevitably feel a great sense of relief. Steps to create this peace of mind include being honest with yourself, living according to your inner guidance, being helpful and kind to others, maintaining healthy sleep habits, avoiding negative people and media, surrendering your problems to the universe, communing with nature, and saying no when you need to. Julia asks, is your shadow self the mean little voice in your head, or is it something different? That is a very good question. And I would say that no, your shadow self is not the mean little voice in your head. Those mean little voices in your head are your wounds, your inner demons, the things that your shadow self is holding on to. the way I would characterize your shadow self is the version of yourself that holds onto all of the wounds and all of the pain that you deal with and lets it out a little bit at a time, so that you are able to handle confronting it bit by bit. And so they've been holding on to a lot of things for you your whole life. And this is why I wanted to create this event. I wanted everyone to be able to greet their shadow selves with compassion. This is the ultimate goal. Because when someone or some part of you is doing something to protect you, they are doing it out of compassion for you. And it's time to respect that and honor that. You can think of a good archetype for shadow work is the journey of Inanna. And Inanna was the Sumerian and Babylonian queen of heaven. And in her story, she must descend to the underworld and must pass through 7 gates. And at each of these 7 gates, she has to leave an offering. And so she leaves bits of jewelry, bits of clothing, everything, until she is completely naked and walks into the throne room of the dead. Because we can't bring anything with us. But each of these sacrifices that she leaves behind, they were something that was important to her, but also something that was holding her back. Her crown that she leaves behind symbolizes her blockage to heaven. Her breastplate that she leaves behind symbolizes the way she has tried to control others in the past. None of these things are things that you want to think about yourself having, but all of them help define who you tell yourself you are. We as humans are creatures of story. We are creatures of story, and the story we tell ourselves, whether it's the story we tell everyone else, the story we tell ourselves about who we are, is the most important thing that we hold on to, we cling to. And this is part of why a lot of people have difficulty with shadow work. Because how can you possibly let go of the idea that you are whatever negative idea you hold about yourself? Maybe you've been told this your whole life. Maybe you did something at some point that made you think this about yourself, and you've simply never let it go. But who would you be? Imagine for a moment who you could be if you were able to release, to sacrifice all of these negative things, all of these negative stories that you tell yourself about yourself, all the things that you believe about yourself that hold you back. Who could you be? Some of them we can let go of and we can move on. Some of them are with us our whole lives. These are the most important shadows to work on, because if you can learn to love something about yourself that you have spent your entire life disliking and hating, how powerful could you become? The reason shadow work is grounded in the underworld is because the underworld is a place of change. As each piece of Inanna's accoutrement was laid at a gate, sacrificed, she left a bit of herself behind, but because of that, she was able to move forward. And that is the ultimate goal of any of us, is to simply be able to move on, move forward, stronger, better, faster, smarter. This transformation is an act of surrender. Having control makes us feel powerful, makes us feel safe. And it is natural to want to hold on to this. But the kind of control that prevents you from looking too closely at the reasons you're feeling stuck where you are, or the things that are holding you back, that kind of control is an illusion. When we surrender this illusion of control, we create for ourselves the opportunity for change. I have spent my entire life afraid of change, too set in holding on to how things are, whether they are good or bad. Because the scary thing about change is that you do not always know what's coming, and you can't predict how it's all going to fall out. But isn't that also the exciting thing about change? Because you don't know what's coming, so it might be really, really good. You don't know who you will be at the end of this. You don't know who you will be if you were to let go of all of the things that you feel are holding you back, are bringing you down, all of the things that you don't personally, particularly like about yourself. I say that that might be an incredible and interesting person. And you might really, really like that version of yourself. I'd like everybody to take a moment and think about the shadows that you yourself are facing. We all face many shadows, so you don't have to face them all at once. You can pick one, you can pick three, you can pick as many as you feel comfortably capable of dealing with at one time. And I want you to choose whether or not you are ready to surrender control over these aspects. Karen asks, so our shadow is like our dark protector? Yes, that is an excellent, excellent way of putting it. Your shadow self is like your dark protector. Julia asks, are shadows things that have happened to us, like an overarching thing? They can be. A shadow can be something that happened to you that hurt you, but it can also be a perception that you, for some reason, picked up about yourself. When I was in before I went to high school, I had a very, very good opinion of myself. I thought I was the bee's knees. Then I got to high school, and self-deprecation was the thing that everyone did. And so in order to fit in, I started self-deprecating. And then I started believing that self-deprecation because I had changed my own narrative to something negative. And it took a long time, a very long time, to change that narrative back. And so that was a wound I gave myself. If you would like at any point to share a wound, you are free to do so, but you are under no obligation to. Because as we all understand, sometimes the wounds that we carry are deeply, deeply personal things. If you've chosen to surrender the illusion of control, then I invite you to close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. As you go through any of the shadow work that you do in your life, whether it is here and now, whether it is with me in the future, or whether it is with your therapist, your counselor, the practice of conscious breathing is one that will help you stay grounded, not get overwhelmed. I'm going to walk you through the first guided meditation from the Into the Shadows journey. So if at any point you've opened your eyes, you can let them drift shut again. Imagine, if you will, a great gateway. This gateway arches above your head and is covered in shifting shadows. At the entrance is a lady. She wears a crown of bone, and a black veil covers her face. She bows deeply to you and opens the gateway. Behind the gateway is a spiral path. You cannot see the end of it, for it goes deep, deep into the earth. It is cold, and you cannot take a light with you. She will not tell you what you will meet on the way, nor where you will end up. Here you may choose, go on or go back. You may at any point leave this journey before you've completed it and try again another time, but you have to make the choice to start. The lady does not touch you, but she beckons you to walk beside her as she starts down the spiral. She is your guide. This lady is she who descends to the underworld, and she is your reassurance that you will come out. Take care, though. The underworld is a place of transformation. You will be stripped of your ego, your self, peeling away the barriers that you have put up around these shadows in order to hide them from the world. This is the safest place you could possibly do so. For in the dark, there is no spotlight we must perform for. We can safely admit to truths that we do not want to see the light. Let your eyes drift open, but continue to breathe deeply. You have near you a mirror, or if you have access to a mirror, I invite you to get it now, because I want you to be able to see yourself. And yes, we will absolutely wait for you. While other people are getting their mirrors, take the moment and look at yourself. Examine your face. Examine the way you're breathing. In the first meditation video of the Into the Shadows program, you'll be invited to light a candle and use it to cast shadows over your face. Because when we do this, we have this small light that is ourselves. But even as we hold it close, it still casts shadows that distort our faces. It makes them something distorted, dark, scary even. That self is your shadow self. And the wonderful thing about your shadow self is that any sort of performance that you feel you must socially give, nice and proper, happy face, you don't have to perform for this self. You don't have to perform for this face. Affirm aloud to your shadow self, I see you, and by seeing you, I hold you. Affirm aloud to your shadow self, you have carried burdens for me. I thank you. Affirm aloud to your shadow self, you have lessons to teach me. I accept them. Affirm aloud to your shadow self, I am here to help relieve you of burdens you no longer need to carry for me. This is the beginning of a new relationship for you, a relationship with your darker self. Take a moment if you need, but let me know how you are feeling in this moment. Whatever that emotion is, lean into it. This is your clear and definitive yes or no feeling, whether you are ready to take this journey and learn to appreciate your shadows and let go of your old wounds. Either answer is fine. There is no judgment about where you are in your journey. Confident, raw, but wanting to change. That is a powerful feeling. Intrigued. That's a good one. Thankful that person was there to carry my burdens. Yes, yes. Gratitude, sacred art. I didn't know my shadow self looked like me. I'm curious, what did you think your shadow self looked like? Sad that she had to carry all that alone. And that is where empathy for your shadow self comes from. Karen says, I'm not sure what shadow self looked like, something scary. Exactly. When you don't know, it's easy for your mind to fill in the blanks. And that is why it is so important to take the time, to take that step and introduce yourself to your shadow self. Get to know them, get to understand this is not a scary, monstrous creature. This is the part of you that's been holding all of your pain and protecting you. And now it's your turn to help ease that burden from them by taking the time to heal those wounds. Scared that I won't do it right. I understand that. We all want to make sure we have just the right, just the perfect first time, the way we do things. But let me tell you this right now. There is no wrong answer. When you are healing your wounds, when you're healing yourself, your shadows, it all comes from your own heart, both the good and the bad. And if you can use that good to heal that bad, there's no possible wrong way to do it. But if you're worried that maybe I don't know what I'm doing, maybe I'm not knowledgeable enough, or maybe I'm too scared to hold myself accountable, that's what I'm here for. Support when you're healing these wounds, when you're going through this journey, is an invaluable thing. I can tell you right now that I would not be sitting here with you, ready to help you on your journey, if I had not received monumental support on my own. Jania says, not sure what I'm feeling. It's a mix of sadness, appreciation, compassion, wanting to cry. It's a really deep feeling, isn't it? Realizing that this part of yourself is not a scary part. It's a part that deserves you. It deserves your love. Oh my goodness, I just teared up a little bit. Thank you. Thank you for helping me get there. Having the support that you need on a journey like this is invaluable. Blakey says, I'm crying if anyone doesn't feel safe. I'm already there. And so I want to make this offer to everyone who's here today. As I said when I started the guided meditation, this was the first in a series called the Into the Shadow series. And it has just become available today. And the Into the Shadow series is a series of 7 guided meditations to take you through this spiral into the underworld with She Who Descends and help you confront through story and imagery every shadow, every wound that needs healing. And because they're pre-recorded guided meditations, once you have them, you will have unlimited access to them. They will never go away, and you'll be able to use them over and over and over as many times as you need to heal every wound, the ones you already have, the ones you may end up with. And to further support that, I'm offering it in 2 packages. The first one is just the self-guided meditations. You can do things at your own pace in your own time. The second is the meditations plus 4 one-on-one shadow guidance sessions with me that you can schedule at your own discretion. And as I was putting these together, my biggest concern was shadow work is something that is so important. I need to make sure everyone has access to this. How do I do that? How do I make sure that these are accessible to everyone whilst also honoring all of the work that has been put into them? And so for everyone who signed up for this and everyone who's here, I'm doing an early bird special on them, which is a pay what you can special. You can enter your own price, anything that you think it is worth, anything that you feel comfortable with, whether that's I only have $1 left in my budget, or I think this is worth $10, I think this is worth $100, I think this is whatever that is, whatever is heart aligned for you. And then at midnight on Monday, that early bird special will be over, and they will go first package for $70, second package for $370. And that again is all 7 of the guided meditations, as well as 4 one-on-one hour-long shadow guidance sessions with me. I'm going to unmute everyone. And if anybody would like to share what they are feeling, what they are processing, what initiation you are standing at right now, you may feel free to do so. Unmute. Here we go. All right. All participants have been unmuted. How are you guys feeling?
I have a very different concept of shadow self than I did at the start of this. Thank you.
I'm glad.
I guess I'd always pictured my shadow self as that which I don't want to be. But it just sort of clicked that this is a protector of a sort. But we don't, since I'm no longer a child, I don't necessarily need protection from, I guess, childhood traumas. I don't know. I don't know that I'm actually making sense.
No, it
But
does make sense.
it might be time to let my protector stand down.
Sometimes our shadows aren't even particular traumas. Sometimes there's something as simple as in 3rd grade, I had a teacher pull me out of the room and yell at me because a boy kept putting his elbow on my desk and I kept shoving it off. And all she saw was me shoving him. And what I internalized from that moment was just head down, eyes down. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know. Yes, okay. Submission in order to get the yelling to stop. And I completely forgot about this. But I was thinking to myself one day, why do I act like this? Why do I do this? And followed that pain back as far as I could remember. And that very specific memory popped up. And I realized I'm not a 3rd grader anymore. I don't have teachers who are going to pull me out into the hallway and tell me off. And it's okay to let go of that. Yes, Julia. I'm sorry, I haven't been able to unmute you either.
Yes,
But if you want to put something in the chat, then I don't know why some of these are just not unmuting. If you want to put something in the chat, then I will be happy to share it. Same with anybody who, for some reason, I think you can unmute yourselves on your end. If you look down in the bottom left corner, see the little microphone. Yes, no? All right. I've unmuted, but it's not unmuting me in the chat. Let me type something up. Yes. Go ahead, please. And if while she's doing that, anyone else would like to share what they're currently feeling, has anything changed for you? Has any perceptions changed? Josie says, Josie says, thank you for the deep journey. My body went into a homeostasis. I'm very interested in your stories. Excellent. Well, when the replay goes out, there will of course be a link to the website where you can sign up for this. But let me really quick drop it in the chat as well, so that anyone who's interested can simply go and learn more. And if you're ready to sign up, you can absolutely do that. And I will be here to honor that. Let me see. There we go. That should be good. All right. I am going to mute everyone again really quick. And I am going to close out this space. There's a saying I'm very fond of, which is happiness shared is doubled, but sorrows shared are halved. As much as you have been feeling the pain of any wound, your shadow self has been holding on to the brunt of it. And if you can share that with them, you can help to ease that burden. And if you can heal that for yourself to a point where you're able to share the things that you've struggled with, and you can just bring it down halved, 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 until suddenly it's not a pain anymore. As creatures of story, it is a difficult yet incredibly creative exercise to figure out how we can take the story we tell ourselves of who we are and turn it into something wonderful, magical. I want you to think for a moment. Who do you want to be? Without the shadows that hang over you, who do you think you could be? And when you've thought of this person, when you've envisioned them, visualizing them to yourself, ask yourself if you are ready to become this person. Thank you all so much for joining us, joining me today. And blessed be to all of you.